Now, sometimes you want to filter instead of search. Let's have a look how this works. Now let's move to the item list and let's figure out here how filtering works. Now we can start filtering in different ways. And the first way is, for instance, we go to quantity on hand. You see that there is a little arrow to open a menu. If you click on it, you see that we have two possibilities to filter and filter to this value. If you click filter to this value, what is happening? You see that now quantity on hand is filtered with the value -6. And here you can see that in the filter pane. So this list is filtered by quantity on hand with the value of -6. If I want to remove the filter, I can click on the remove field, and you see that I have a list again without filtering. So again, for instance, if I say like right click, filter, so not filter on this value, but filter, then you see I have to specify a value. And for instance, let's assume that I say 10. Then you see that there are two records where the quantity on hand field has the value of 10. I can click on reset filters and my filter is gone. Now, you can close the filter pane like this. So we have seen that you can filter in this way, right? With the right click, open the menu and then filter or filter on this value. You can also do it by clicking on show filter pane and then start yourself by clicking on filter list by, for instance, the field quantity on hand. And then you can also use formulas. For instance, I can say quantity on hand needs to be bigger than, for instance, 10. And then you see I have two records where it is bigger than 10. Or I can say bigger than 4. I have multiple records bigger than 4. If I remove the field, then you see again I have an unfiltered list here. I can now say, for instance, 5 and then pipeline symbol. I can say 8, pipeline symbol, and 4. So I'm looking for specific values, and then you see here I have the item records where quantity on hand is either 5, 8 or 4. So you see you can also do some ranges, some formulas, and for instance let's try a range now. So again unfilter, and then we can say, well, we want to have it in the range from 5 and then a range until 20. So that means starting value, ending value, double dots in between, which indicates it is a range. And then you see now we have all the records in between 5 and 10. If I click on reset filters, then you see that all my filters are gone. You can also filter on multiple fields. So again, we do filter by lists. I'm going to use the quantity on hand. I'm going to say the quantity on hand needs to be bigger than 10. And I'm going to set another filter on, for instance, the unit cost. And I'm going to say the unit cost needs to be bigger than 150. And there you see, when I do that, a second filter is implied. So you can filter on one field, but you can also filter on multiple fields. You can include a lot of filter formulas. You can find these formulas in the help or in docs. So let's reset now the filter and let's try another type of filter. And for this other type of filter, which is filtering calculated fields, we're going to take an example in a different area, for instance, in the chart of accounts. So let's go to the chart of accounts and let's look for the account 4200. And here you see that there is a net change. And that net change field is a calculated field. And this calculation is done on these records. So this is the total of all these records. And when you look at it, those are records with a posting date in 2019, but also records with a posting date in 2018. Now let's assume that we want to see the net change for 2018. So what we can do then is filter totals by, or in other words, filter calculated fields. And which fields are we going to manipulate? That's the date filter field. So we're going to manipulate the date actually in the calculation formula. And I'm going to say, well, okay, I want to put an extra filtering in the calculation, being I want to filter on posting dates, and I'm going to use the date filter for that. And when you look at it now, you see that the net change has changed. And when you look in the underlying records, you can see that we only included the 2018 records. So with filter totals by, you can have an impact on all calculated fields. And you can have that on, for instance, the example we took that now with putting in an extra date filter. But that can be also a location filter, for instance, or any other kind of available filter field. You will always see which filter fields are available.